All right, so we are live on Facebook. We are recording, and we are ready to go as we all bring up Facebook on our phones so we can see it everywhere. And I'm excited. So hey everybody, this is Barbara Moses, and I've got High5 team members and High5 graduates with me tonight. So Mr. Kevin Fink, Ms. Michelle Fink, that takes...
What? How did that happen?
Yeah, like 10 days ago. We got Big Daddy Dominic Oaxaca in the house, and our newest Spartan finisher, Adam Meixner. Yay. Thank you guys for being here. And we'll see if anybody else joins us on this. And I can't find us yet on Facebook, so hold on. Anyway, you got us up on Facebook, Kev? Yep, okay, you guys got it. Cool. I'll figure that out here in a moment. So we had so much fun last month doing High5 Live Unscripted. We decided to do it again and really just dive into whatever it is that you want to talk about. And as most of you who know us quite well know that especially Kevin and I have no problem talking about pretty much anything and everything. So we will jam on some other topics if you don't have anything you want to talk about. But we definitely want to know what's on your mind tonight and how we can answer those questions or anything you just want to jam about. And so I'm going to open the floor both here and on Facebook. And there's a little bit of a delay between what I see and what's on Facebook. So if we don't get to your question right away, just know that we're constantly monitoring what you got to say, because what you got to say is super important to us. So one of the things that we love to do, so I think it would be a fun thing to start so I'm asking you to start sending your questions or comments on Facebook or here, but let's just do a quick little gratitude. So one of the things that we do to start off almost every High5 team meeting or meeting that we have together, because we do them all on Zoom just like this, is we start with something that we're grateful for. And many of you who have done these kinds of meetings, if you're a graduate, we've done them with you as well. And so, gratitude, as I love to say, is the express elevator to joy, but it is the quickest way to shift the energy, raise the vibration in both yourself and with others. So it's something that the more that you practice that, the more that you can use that as a tool and a resource. So I go first. Kevin always seems to get in there before me. So today I get to go first. And today I am grateful for the awesome team that fixed my car in just a few hours that are like 2 blocks down from me. And they did it so reasonably. I actually asked when they told me the total, because I had smog too. I said, is that it? Because I really thought he hadn't charged me enough. So, yay. I'm grateful for that. How about you guys? And would love to know what you guys are grateful for on Facebook as well.
Can you still hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah. Oh, you said I'm having feedback. Okay.
Oh no, Kevin is. I think it's Kevin. It's all the...
Can you hear me at all?
Yeah, we can hear you, but I think you have awful feedback.
All right.
I hear it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, my screen is frozen. I'm gonna have to go out and come back.
Okay. Bye then.
Bye, Ben.
Yeah, that was him.
I love technology. It told me I was muted as I was talking. All right. So who wants to share? What are you grateful for?
I'll go. I'm grateful today. I spent a lot of time with the kids were around the house, which is uncommon. They're usually gone doing whatever they do. And I spent a lot of time with them today. And I'm just grateful at how well adjusted they are, and how their awareness through the family living in the moment and practicing the things that we teach, how it has rubbed off on them, and how they follow, and how they choose to live their life by choice. And it's very cool to see, and I'm grateful for that.
They are super cool human beings.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
All right, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, and you brought the feedback still. It's quieter, but it's still there.
I don't hear it, but
Dominic, do you still hear it?
I don't hear it now.
No.
All right, so it's just the buzzing in your ears. It's the love is in the air, I suppose.
Yeah, it is. You could come
So
in my computer.
I am grateful for technology when it works. Yeah, like not right now, but I am grateful for that, and grateful that we had the opportunity on Sunday to get together with almost my entire family, my brother, my sister, my mom, my niece, my nephew, nieces, and all aunt and uncle were there. So it's been the first time that we've had that many of our family together for a happy event, not funeral related, in a very long time. So I am grateful for those things.
awesome. Thank you.
I am grateful for what was an amazing trip to Mexico with fam and some fabulous friends. And there also happened to be a wedding involved too. We had a great time, and it was a beautiful ceremony, and it just makes me happy to think about all the time. I'm still in the glow.
You are still in the
I'm grateful
glow.
for the person who officiated our wedding as well.
Yes, it was perfect.
We may even talk a little bit about that tonight.
Excellent.
All right, Adam, you're up.
Yeah, I guess I was just gonna say, I guess I'm up. I'm the last one. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to do some of the things I've done, like the Spartan race, which showed me what it takes, mind versus body, to overcome some of the obstacles. I didn't go over all of them. I did quite a few burpees, but you know what? I finished it. I told myself going in, it wasn't about the race. It was about finishing it. And I was there, and I actually realized, I was looking around. One of the coolest things I saw is I think it was probably a 70-year-old couple getting ready to do the Spartan race, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. They weren't letting anything stop them, and they were going to do it. So good for them.
Love it. You know, I'm going to just use that as a jumping off point while we wait for our folks on Facebook to say what they're grateful for, ask their questions. And that is, where are we? So this was something I was thinking about today, is where are we limiting ourselves, right? And those stories, so next week I turn 53. And where are those stories that I'm telling myself that at this age, or I'm getting older, and there's, you know, certain things that aren't as easy and doing, it's like, how, I don't know, I'm just buying somebody else's story, and yeah, maybe I don't run quite as fast or whatever that is, but how will I ever know what's possible if I'm believing the story that I'm telling myself based on most likely somebody else's story, versus truly finding out how good I can be? And I was on the phone earlier today with a friend of mine, and she was telling me about this runner who's won the, she was the first woman to win the Boston Marathon or something. She's in her 30s. And what was inspiring for my friend was what this woman said is she just wanted to find out how good she could be. And I was like, wow. So think about that for a moment. You are lying on your deathbed, right? It's the end of your life. And can you really say, will you be able to really say, I did everything to find out how good I could be at whatever it is that you're passionate about, right? And so it's about, how am I showing up? And I was like, wow, it's a continual reminder to me, and honestly, a somewhat of a reality check that says, wow, where am I still leaving all of that potential that I have on the table? Because I am. And so taking the opportunity to self-reflect about the stories that I'm telling myself that continue to limit me and limit my behaviors, and honestly, a lot of them because it's easier, right? And am I going to be excited and be like, oh, I'm so glad I took the easy way out 20 years from now? And I'm going to say no. So yes, I'm inspired, Adam. So thank you for sharing that. I'm inspired by those folks pushing their limits. And not everybody can, and I get that. But what's your limit? And are you really pushing it, or are you playing it safe? Are you sitting on the sidelines waiting to die versus truly getting in the game? And I will share one of my favorite moments from Kevin and Michelle's wedding was Bob. And Bob, Bob is Kevin's stepfather. He's 82, I think. And Bob's got way more dance moves than anybody that I know, and he is not afraid to use them. And he inspired the heck out of me. And I said, I don't know how many times that night, when I grow up, I want to be Bob. So, yeah, Bob freaking rocked that. And Bob knows how to have a good time. So,
Yeah. So, yeah, Bob had a good time, needless to say. So I was on Facebook. We had a couple people there saying what they were grateful for, and then my Facebook closed, and so I lost them. But I know Conrad said that he was grateful to be able to reconnect with High5 and reconnect to his learning. Don and Roz are there. They're grateful to be able to help their daughter get off to college, and that's all I remember seeing.
Actually, they weren't just grateful to have their daughter, to get their daughter off to college. They were grateful that she wanted them to be there for that.
yeah.
Which is a huge thing.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like, mom and dad, you can just stay.
Yeah. Wait in the car.
Marla says she's grateful for her High5 family. Her heart is smiling.
Yeah, and we're grateful for all of our High5 family as well. Love you, Miss Marla. So yeah, thank you for all of you that are joining us tonight. And I would love to know what's on your mind and what's in your heart. What can we do to add value for you? And one of the things that so interrupt me when you got a moment there, Kev, if you need to pop in with something they're doing. But one of the things that I love about this format is I get to just talk about whatever is on my mind and in my heart. And I did a little bit of a Facebook Live on this the other day. One of the things that I do all of the time, and I think most of you know this, if you've had any dealings with us at all, is I'm always listening to podcasts, I'm reading books, working on myself all of the time. And I have made the choices in my life to wind up where I'm at, which is in San Diego. And pretty much every morning I take a little walk to the beach. And that's when I listen to certain things. And so I've been listening to I listened to a podcast last week, and it was entitled Wonder Over Worry. And what I recognize is that most of us as human beings, we spend a lot of time worrying about stuff. And honestly, if we really take a look at it, we worry about a lot of stuff that we have absolutely no control over. And we also worry about stuff that is going to happen in the future, right? And so we're creating this future. And the first step is just being aware of that worry and the stories that are creating the worry. The podcast, though, was about wonder. So when you recognize the worry, become curious. And I love, we talked before at High5 about curiosity, and I love curiosity because it really goes with a lot of the questions that we talk about, like what else is possible, right? That's curiosity. It's looking at those things that I'm worrying about and truly being curious about whatever it is that's happening. And is there a different way or a different perspective that I could look at it from? And just having that as another little tool in my tool belt, right? So all of these things that we teach at High5 Leadership, they're all universal truths. And the thing that we do really well is we deliver it in a way that makes it more sticky for a lot of people. And it's good to have all of those things that you've learned from your High5 experience reinforced. And that's why I love to listen to books and podcasts or read or whatever it is, because it constantly brings up the reinforcement of how am I living my life and what else is possible for me. So I just wanted to share that little wonder versus worry and see if it's stuck for anybody, because that's the key, is to find those things for you that stick, because not everything sticks for everybody. And one of the things that I've recognized for myself is I may have read a book 5 years ago and I might have gotten one thing out of it, or I was in a class 5 years ago and I got something out of it. And today I get something completely different because I'm at a different point in my life. And it's recognizing that we don't ever stop learning, right? And we can hear the same thing. So even if we talked this High5 Live, if we talked about the exact same things we talked about the last High5 Live, it would be awesome, because those are the messages that we need to continually keep in front of us to get to our next level. And so if you have something that you want to talk about that we've already talked about before, let's talk about it again, because it's the repetitiveness that reprograms our brains to actually now act and think in that new way. So just creating some new possibilities at that. All right, Kev, I've talked.
Couple of other gratitude things. So Miss Peggy says she's grateful to see our faces. So we're grateful to see your typing, Peggy.
Good. I hope we see her in a couple weeks. Yay.
Yeah, we will see you hopefully in a couple weeks. And Tony says, I'm grateful for my lawyer who's helped me maneuver the courts the last 8 months. He was kind and always told it to believe he was doing it for the right reason, his littles. So gratitude there. And that's all I see of new stuff there. One thing I want to piggyback off on what you were just talking about, Barb. So I got a question from someone earlier in the week who is self-employed and believes that they should be investing in themselves and doing personal growth stuff, and yet coming to a 3-day class, taking the time away from family and responsibilities, business, and then the cost, it's too much. And so what do you do? And so too much is relative for everybody, right?
Right.
So what do you do in order to continue developing when the the price, whatever that is too much, and yet you still want to get the benefit, or you still want to grow? What do you do?
Wow, it's a great question, and I know that for a big chunk of my life, that was my story, and so I'll even back up a little bit further. The first people that invested in me as a person wasn't me. It was my company. And you know, we have a lot of great conversations, or we have a lot of great clients, who give people the opportunity, right, to come do work with us. And it was interesting to me because the piece about that and what I experienced was, oh, well, good. Then if the company that I'm working for wants me to get better, then they need to invest in me. And what I realized is, if I want to get better and I want to keep growing, why would I wait for somebody else to invest in me if I'm not willing to invest in myself? And now being a business owner myself, there ain't nobody else. So it's me or nobody. And the key for me is, it kind of goes back even a little bit to what I was talking about. You know, how am I going to be sure that I am the absolute best that I can be, that you know, I've reached my potential, if I don't continue to see what else is possible and what's out there. So as you know, I do at least one, if not two, personal development programs a year, and honestly, I prioritize those above pretty much anything else, because I know that as I get better, everything around me gets better as well. And I get it. I do. I get that we have been conditioned and programmed, really, that everything else comes before us. And through this whole journey, and it's clearly something that we believe and we teach here at High5, is if I don't take care of me, then I don't have the resources and what I need to be able to help and really take care of others. It is absolutely an illusion that I can take care of somebody else. And I talked about this in my class last week that I did in Philly, and it really hit. So the company that I'm working for are people that take care of others in some of the worst times in their life, right? They're a funeral and cemetery company. And what was so interesting is the revelation it was for them when they realized that they're not going to be there to take care of their families, right? Their employees, because they were all leaders in the organization, and the customer if they don't take care of themselves. And that was a big piece of that. And understanding that I got to take care of me. And one of the ways that I take care of myself is to continue to grow. Because to truly show up as a leader in the world, leadership is a practice. And so how am I practicing being a leader every single day? And, you know, the one thing that always cracks me up, and I'm hoping I answered your question. You can tell me in a minute if I have. But that always cracks me up is that I just totally lost my train of thought. Wow.
That cracks me up all the time too.
Boom. Yeah.
I'd like to piggyback on Kevin's piggyback and say that I've gone through a lot of decisions, and I'm still going through a lot of decisions that I need to make in my life as to where I'm going and what I'm doing and the best way to get there. And one thing that really resonated with me recently is, are you focused on the things that you really want, or are you focused on the things keeping you from what you really want? And that's a very clarifying question to me, and it helps me because I spend a lot of my time, and I don't think I'm alone, is looking at obstacles only. So when you're talking about making those steps, if I'm concentrated and focused on getting the things that I want, the things that I don't want don't seem like such a big obstacle. In fact, some of the times they don't even exist. But I made them exist to keep me from getting what I want. So what I want is available to me at all times. It's just up to me to choose it. And that's a big thing that I got from the class and from this continued learning, is that once you decide that it's completely your choice, then that's a very, very powerful tool to have in your toolbox, and make that choice.
I am my choice. Wow. I love that, Dominic. And yeah, thinking about what is getting our energy, right? All the stuff that we don't want, all the stuff that we see as obstacles. And if I just put all of my energy into what I want, then that's what I'm going to get. That's beautiful. You know, and so now let's piggyback on that. And let's talk about the fact that July 1st is on Monday or Sunday, I think it is. Yeah, because, yes, it's on Sunday.
Yeah.
So that means 6 months. Can you all believe it? 6 months of 2018 will be over. 2018 will be half over. And I don't know about y'all, but I just blinked and there it was. And it's a good wake-up call for me as to how am I doing on those things that I said I wanted to accomplish in 2018. And if I said, okay, these are some of my outcomes, am I halfway there? I'm going to have to say absolutely not. And so utilizing this as an opportunity for you to say, ooh, how's my year going? Am I showing up and doing the things that are really going to get me to the outcomes I say that I want? Are they? And what's getting my focus to what you were just talking about, Dominic, the things that I really want or the things that I see as obstacles standing in my way? And more often than I would like to admit, sometimes it's those obstacles. And so one of the things that I've been doing, and we actually talked about it as a team in one of our meetings this morning, is getting clear on, okay, what's our outcome for the rest of the year? What's our outcome for July? What's our outcome for this week? What's our outcome? What's our commitment? And that's really where it comes down to. What am I committed to do today as it relates to getting to those outcomes? Because somebody said this just the other day, and I don't remember who it was, but it was, I know, it was on the call yesterday, Kev. He has 2 outcomes, and he had made a list of like 15 things, and he brought it down to 2. And he said, you know what, if the things that I'm doing today don't support those 2 outcomes, then I'm going to change what I'm doing. And so getting that laser focused, right, not allowing all of the noise to get in, what can we really accomplish in that? So.
Yeah, all good stuff there. Can you make me a co-host again or promote Peggy? The other thing I wanted, so thank you for answering the question that I posed. One of the other things I was thinking about while you were talking about that is, you know, it doesn't have to be a 3-day class. I mean, it's great if, oh, there she is. Hi, Peggy.
Hi.
You know, and we certainly want everybody to come attend our live classes, but it's all growth and development. So even if you're just reading a book or listening to a podcast, those things you were talking about, it all helps, right? But one of the things that I've experienced with those other methodologies is that while it is forward progress, the hard part is implementation and sustainability. Right? So we can at some point, doing it all ourselves reaches its maximum, and then we need to take the next step. So.
Yeah, I've actually had a graduate say, and I feel like I'm plugging my program, and that's not really what I want, but I thought they summed it up well. They learned more and accomplished more in 3 days than they did in reading a book a week for 3 years.
Wow.
They were committed to personal development, and it wasn't until they got into that place where you experience it, right, and really apply it, that it becomes sticky, and now we can do something with it. So
Barb, can I speak on that real quick?
of course,
It's kind of tying into also what Kevin had said, but as a High5 graduate and somebody that's has been doing this now for, I think, 8 months, it's, you know, those 3 days I was like, you know, I don't have time for this. I've got college, I've got work, I've got this, and this. I didn't have anything. I didn't have time to do it. But looking back at those 3 days, I realized, like you had said, I had learned so much in those 3 days. I'm still learning to this day how to improve myself. But I took that first step, and it's that plunge that I think that scared me the most, was actually saying, yes, I'm going to do this.
well, and it is scary. You know, and I think thank you, Adam. I love that, because I think that's the piece for all of us when we really started to do this work, is we didn't know what the heck we were getting into in whatever it is that we did, and it's scary. And it's about having the courage to find out, you know, what that is. Peggy, it is so good to see your beautiful face. Oop, is she there?
She's frozen.
Oh, she's locked up.
She was having some technical difficulty.
All of
there
you
she is.
guys who are joining us, I see some familiar names and some people that I haven't talked to for a while, so I appreciate you hopping on. Would love to answer any questions that you have, and do that. Hey, Peggy, are you frozen again? Are you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. She's got Michelle syndrome.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. You
Love technology.
Peggy, you are not coming through. I don't know why. All right, so Marla asked a question. What are the day-to-day habits that cultivate personal growth? Ooh, it's a great question. Who wants to take that one first? Dominic?
Or go ahead, Dominic.
I would say routines. So I just recently had a conversation with somebody about this, that getting everything that you get from our class, being positive, focusing on a positive outcome and going for what you want, it all works. When you do not develop a routine for how you're going to get that, then it diminishes and it diminishes and diminishes until it's gone. And one of the most important things that I did was journaling. So when I journaled for a little while and meditated once or twice, I mean, it helped, but then I'm like, well, that's not working for me. But it usually wasn't working for me because I wasn't doing it. But continuing to do those processes, and whatever process works for you, whether it's meditating or whether it's journaling, is starting your day off on the right foot and sticking to that, then your day becomes, and this happens, I promise it's happened to me, where your positivity might last a couple of hours until you go to work and run into that negative person and you feel like your day is driven down a little bit. But as you keep doing it, you know, it's the 4th hour before you get depressed, or the 5th hour before you meet that juncture in the road where you need to choose positivity, and it's a conscious choice. You'll notice as you do these routines, and a lot of people can relate this like in a diet. If you stick to that routine, it's not going to work in the first day. You don't go on a diet and then get off of it on the second day because it worked. But when you stick to it, it gets easier and easier and easier. And anybody who's ever stuck to that plan, to a diet plan or health club or whatever it is, the routine makes it easier as the time goes on. So develop that routine for yourself, whatever it is, that keeps you positive, whether you listen to the podcast on a walk to the beach or you journal or whatever it is that you do, make it a part of your daily routine and stick to it. And I promise that will help with sustainment. It'll go on longer and longer and longer, and you'll be amazed at how that will help you and keep you centered.
Yeah. And I want to tie, so I don't know that I ever really tied this saying that we've said for years to what you just said directly, which is when you do that, when you set up a routine like that to put in those good behaviors and habits, that's making life happen because of you, right? That's being super purposeful in that moment. And the more of those things that you do, Dominic, the more that you literally are being purposeful in your life. And I laugh at, and so I'm just going to share the story since it came up. I laugh at myself a lot, and most of you know that because I got some really interesting stories in my head from my programming and wonder where they come up with. And one of the things that I've been working on personally is my eating. And I have made the choice to cut out sugar and flour out of my diet because it's not benefiting me. And I'm not going to stand here and say I'm never going to eat sugar or flour again. However, I'm seeing the benefits to my physical health as a result of making that choice. It's not an easy choice. With all the stuff out there to eat, it's not an easy choice. That said, one of my stories, and I've been on the health and weight roller coaster all of my life. I said I would never weigh and measure my food. I said that. You know what I do? I weigh and measure my food, and that routine, Dominic, gives me so much more purpose in what I'm eating and putting in my mouth and making sure it's something that will benefit me. Isn't that interesting with that? So, yeah.
I heard something else. I heard something else that was really useful too, and I'm not perfect. So what happens is I will fall off the wagon. I will do things that aren't in my best interest. But the forgiveness is really important. And I'm not saying forgive like I'm not going to do that anymore or letting ourselves off the hook. That's not the point of forgiveness. Forgiveness, and I read this quote, I thought it was really useful. Forgiveness is just a commitment that your past will never improve. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. But what's nice and what's really promising is that your future will. So that's all forgiveness is that you can't change it. And so you forgive yourself, it's done, and you move on and still focus in a positive direction.
Yeah. I like that.
Two things, I think. So Conrad just asked a question. What can you do to help get back to the correct state of mind in the middle of the day after being hit by negative people all day? I get down midday or most of the day is when I struggle the most. And so what you just said, Dominic, I think is part of it, right? Having the awareness. So Conrad, the first thing is being aware that when you feel your mood change, stop, focus on the outcome, and consciously choose to get back to positive. So it always comes back to choice, and it starts with being aware, right? And what Dominic just said is perfect too. Forgive yourself for buying into the negativity or whatever it is, and just refocus on your outcome. State a mantra, I am positive. Right now, I begin again. We don't have to wait till the morning the next day for the score to be 0-0 again. We can just reset the scoreboard right in the middle of the day. Oh, 0-0, here we go. Time to start it again and get right back in and go for it. The other thing I want to add to what Dominic said about creating routine is, for me, start small. So where it becomes overwhelming is, okay, I'm going to start journaling, and I'm going to meditate, and I'm going to eat right, and I'm going to do all these things that I know will benefit me and are all things that I want. And then for me, it becomes overwhelming, and one of them just doesn't go by the wayside. They all do. So one, create the habit and then add to it would be my coaching there.
Yeah, I think that's a really super important one, Kev. And I remember we had this conversation with one of our classes not too long ago, because we have our journal, right, that we use at High5. And they were thinking that they had to like do all of this stuff every day. And it's like, you know what? Just set an outcome to be positive.
Right.
If that's all you did, if that's all any of us did, every single one of us, if we just set an outcome to be positive, do you know how much better? Right? Just that makes the world. First off, it makes our world a whole heck of a lot better, but also everybody that we interact with and we touch. So we don't have to overcomplicate this stuff, ladies and gentlemen.
My mom always said, one bite of the elephant at a time.
I think one of the big things people miss too on this whole thing is asking for help. You're trying to do it all yourself, and I mean, I'm sorry, I'm trying to do it all myself, and I forget to ask for help. One. I'll send you a video of the funky bulldog later.
Happy thigh.
Thank you, Kevin. But I forget to ask for help. I'm trying to do the Spartan race. I'm trying to just do better in life, keep my A average and things like that in college, and I forget, ask for help, and make people aware that, hey, I'm trying to better myself. Can you help me? If you keep it inside, they're like, what's going on? And they wonder. Let them know. There's no shame with trying to better yourself.
So thank you. You might be more successful at all of it if you stop trying, though.
There was like 5
there were like
7,
6,
5,
7, 8 of them in there.
8 of them. Dominic.
And now, of course, you know that Adam is more prone to doing burpees than.
Yeah, we should do burpees now. Exactly. I would actually, so to the entire conversation, I would take it a step back relative to, so certainly there's the daily routine, all the things that you all have discussed. The biggest element of the whole thing, though, for me, is to believe that whatever growth you want, whether it's positive attitude, whether it's change in body size or type, if it's better relationships, whatever those things are, whatever the personal growth that you want to achieve is, first and foremost, you need to believe that you're worthy of it, because all the routines in the world, all the books on the planet, all our classes, none of that's going to do anything for you if you don't truly believe that you're worth whatever it is you want to achieve.
True that. Mm-hmm. True that. It starts with that internal work first, and understanding that your stories that most of us have had over our life is that we aren't worth it came from somebody else, and so it's okay for us to write a new story and do that. And that was the thing. To going back to Conrad's question, is if I let somebody else control my mood, because you know what, bottom line, folks, as much as we would love everybody to be positive all the time, there's a lot of negativity out there. We're going to run into negative people. We are. And if I allow those negative people to turn me negative or affect my attitude or my mood, then that's on me, right? That's me accepting personal responsibility for how I'm showing up. And I get it. And I clearly have let people do that to me. But that means I've just given them my power. You know, put it in a little box, handed it to them, and gave them that gift rather than choosing to stay there myself. So I wrote down some questions just in case we needed them. And there's one that I wrote down, and it was, is it bad to make others uncomfortable with your positive choices? Because when you choose positive or you choose enthusiastic, you may make other people uncomfortable. You're going to make those negative people uncomfortable. And so I'm going to pose that question. Is that wrong to make others uncomfortable by choosing to be positive?
No.
No.
I think it's important. I think it's important to set boundaries. And it's a very, very tough thing to do. It's very, very hard. But setting boundaries as to what's okay and what's not okay around you is necessary. It's necessary for your compassion, for your growth, for your capacity to love. That is important. And it's probably one of the hardest things to do, is to let people around you know what your boundaries are. And you know what I mean, because it goes through everybody's mind. Everybody knows what's right and what's not right. And it doesn't really need a whole lot of definition. If it's acceptable to you or if it's not acceptable to you. And if you don't set those boundaries, you start clouding them within your own life.
Well, if the question is it bad to make other people uncomfortable by whatever you're doing, your enthusiasm or your positive attitude or whatever, it's really kind of a moot question, because I'm not making anybody anything. I'm just being me. I'm just doing my thing. It's their choice to be uncomfortable or feel awkward or dislike it or whatever it is that whatever emotions or feelings they're having around it, that's completely theirs. That is, I'm not making you anything.
It's the stories they're telling themselves about what they're observing and how it's creating their reality.
Right.
We talk in class about people make things happen, watch things happen, and wonder what the hell just happened. That's people watching things happen and letting things happen to them rather than making things happen because of them.
Mm-hmm. And also, if you've taken the class, if you've taken our class or anybody else's class, just remember, this is my favorite saying. I think I say this on every call now, but a black vote for you might feel like a red vote to someone else. So if it's your black vote for you to have a positive attitude and be happy and enthusiastic and be in a good mood all the time, which pisses people off, that's your black vote. It's their red vote.
Yeah. And I think it's an importance. I love all of your answers, and so high five to the High5 team. And I know that there are still times when I have thought about modifying my behavior to fit in. And the question is, where are we doing that in our lives so that we fit in and haven't set the boundaries that Dominic talked about what we stand for in terms of who we are. And it's just, I think it's a good reminder, right, of, what are my guiding principles? What are my values? And how am I showing up? And for me, it was about getting real with myself about, okay, I might be showing up really strong in this area of my life. That doesn't give me the free get out of jail free card or the free card to not practice it over here. And I agree, Kevin, start one place, but I got this down. It's okay for me to address this now too.
To add. Yeah, it's not substitution, it's addition.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I thought there was another question. Oh no, that was Conrad's. Something else that you said earlier about negative environments made me think of a conversation I had with another one of our graduates. And being that we're live on Facebook, it centers around Facebook, the ultimate source of negativity for many people. And this is a person who is working really, really hard and has made some huge strides in the amount of positivity he now puts out in the world relative to where he was prior to coming to our classes.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he gets sucked in sometimes, usually politics. And so what I shared with him after it happened again here this week, a few days ago, was something that both Michelle and Barb recommended to me a couple of years ago as it related to engaging in negative conversations on Facebook. And for me, the coaching to me from both of them was, you need to avoid having political discussions on Facebook because it was absolutely so. Where I was, what made me think of this, Barb, was said, so I'm working really well over here in this area of my life, and I got my shit going right, and then I got this over here that's pulling me in the other direction, and it was inconsistent. And so my coaching to him was just stay positive, and because his response back to me was something along the lines of, well, yes, and I just feel so bad about all the negativity. I was ranting about the negativity. I said, so you were being negative about the negativity. and I think Dominic actually commented the same thing on an earlier post with him. And I said, just be positive and be the role model for positive. And people are going to think whatever they think, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. Just be positive. And I think it really connected with him. But it ties back to what Conrad was saying too, right? We are, unfortunately, in many places surrounded by overwhelming negativity. And sometimes it's hard not to change our behavior, right? To stay with what we want and just kind of go with that bigger energy. So.
Well, and one more thing on the whole Facebook thing. It's interesting because I think we're probably all talking about the same person. We all gave different, I gave some feedback too. And my feedback, so this is my truth on Facebook. So I love Facebook in the fact that my feed is filled with positivity because it's filled with graduates and people that are working on themselves and want that. If somebody pops up that's negative, whoosh, they're gone. Because why would I, whether I totally unfriend them, and I don't have a problem doing that either, or just block them, but I at least don't want to see it in my feed. And if something does pop up, I just go by it. I don't need to buy into it. I don't need to let it affect me, to what you just said, Kev. And it's okay to purge the negative people in our lives.
Addition by subtraction.
Yeah. And I get some of those people can be relatives. I think we might have talked about this last time. Some of those people might be relatives, but you know what? It's okay to not be friends with them on Facebook, or at least hide them, right? You don't have to fill yourself with that stuff. And it doesn't mean that we turn a blind eye to everything. And we certainly, I want to know about what's going on in the world with the stuff that I can impact. And I know that by staying positive, I'm doing more for the world than fighting. We're never fighting for anything, or fighting against anything is never going to benefit. So what do you stand for? And go after that and stay consistent with that.
And all the energy used to fight against that is only weakening you. It's not, and nobody, if you look at Facebook, you've seen that meme that shows the the pie graph about how many people actually change their mind based on your political rants or your arguments, and it's never anybody. And I mean, how boring would it be for everybody to think like you anyway? Variety is the spice of life. The other thing I would say is whether it's Facebook or just your life in general, if you are adding by subtracting, allow yourself to do that. Give yourself a break. Let it go. You're not a horrible person because you don't want to get sucked into the negativity. It is not your responsibility to be kind to someone because nobody else is nice to them. You don't have any responsibility to those people. And don't allow other people to make you feel badly or guilty or about cleaning up, purging, whatever word you want to use, and making those choices to not have that person be part of your life anymore. It's all okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important too that we distinguish the part between I'm never going to talk about politics and I'm not going to discuss politics. So that there are situations where I absolutely disagree with somebody, but I love the discussion. So I want to shield against shutting out everything that I don't agree with. If I get to the point where I have absolutely shut everything out that I don't agree with, I will never, ever grow or learn, because there is no opposing view to my own, and I will never seek to understand that. And Kevin brought up a really, really good point a couple of weeks ago about the person who cuts you off on the freeway in their car, and you're mad at them and you yell and you get this road rage, but you don't know what caused it. You don't know if that person's having a heart attack or their mother just had a heart attack and they're in the hospital. You don't know what their situation is. But the understanding of why that happened, I think, is important for us, for everybody, to get along and understand people's point of view. You can still disagree and agree once you get to that point. I just don't think it's possible to agree or not agree without first understanding. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that we're missing. And I think that's a lot of things that we have in Facebook when we have people on A and people on Z. And it's the inability to get to M and discuss it. Yeah. If we stay on one side or the other, then we'll never get to M. And it's those discussions that are really, really important.
I agree, Dominic. And it's, what's the intent of our Facebook? Is it to make somebody else wrong so we can be right? Or, like you were just saying, is it about truly understanding different viewpoints? Mm-hmm. And my biggest challenge with Facebook, you might have a couple people that really want to have that discussion and understand each other's viewpoints, and then you always got the rest of the people wanting to be right as well. So, but to your point, that's great. Heidi, you're right. Confrontation is not the enemy of enthusiasm, and you can disagree without being disagreeable. Love that, Roz. Yeah, good stuff. Well, cool. Well, I just looked at my clock, and we have already been at this for an hour. I don't know where that hour went, but what fun it has been. And unless anybody has any disagreement, I say this is how we do all of our High5 lives moving forward. This is a lot of fun, and we'll get out to you guys an opportunity to ask your questions beforehand too, so you can just have a little bit more time to think about it, and we'll be able to answer them on our call. But I want to thank everybody on Facebook for joining us. I want to thank everybody live for joining us, and this is just a community, right? The High5 Momentum community is really just about having these discussions and supporting each other in this journey, because it's not always easy. It isn't, because we're surrounded with negativity and all of those things in our lives, and the fact that we're just all still learning, right? Sometimes we don't make the choice that best serves us, and we fall down, and we know that winners fall down a lot, and they get back up and they keep moving forward and they ask for help. Thank you, Adam, for that one. They raise their hand, they ask for help, they accept support, and we just support each other. So we can be that positive, shining light in the world. And it's all about just keep working on truly being the best you that there is, because when you're the best you, you make the world that much better. Bye, Tony. So thank you. And just what's coming up, we got a class in Bethany Beach, Delaware, July 9th through 11. If anybody wants to get somebody in that class, you got like a day to get that to happen. We are excited about, we've got some new clients that we're doing work with, doing a lot of one-day classes and helping transform cultures right now. If you want to know more about that, give us a call. We got another 3-day intensive in September in San Diego. We've got our next Evolve class for all of our graduates who are ready to go to that next level. Evolve, it's great to do with people that you know, and that's in October 20th and 21st, I believe, here in San Diego, and more to come. But we will see you next month, towards the end of July, middle to end of July. We'll let you know when it is, and until then, choose joy.
Choose joy.
Anything else, anybody?
Thanks, everybody. Be love.
Love you. Bye.
Love you.